Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my home in Livingston, Montana. Okay, what I'm going to be doing for the next few minutes is I'm going to be doing another knife review. So if you don't like knife reviews, you might as well go on to another movie because, this will bore you. Okay, I'm just going to show you this in the sheath for right now. We'll get to that. But let me get to the specs. I like to get the specs out of the way because I got a terrible memory, okay? So I write things down on a card. This is an Ontario Rat 7, and these are the knife specs on this guy. For those of you that need to have that kind of stuff, the blade length is 7 inches. It's actually a little bit more than 7 inches, counting the choll area, okay? The overall length is 12.25 inches. The blade thickness is 0.14 inches or 3/16 of an inch. I know I measured all this stuff with a set of calipers and tape measure like I always do. Okay, the blade steel is 1095 carbon steel. 1095, in my humble opinion, is a real good knife steel. The Rockwell hardness on this guy is 57 to 59. The blade grind is a flat grind. The blade color, let me make sure this is in focus. The blade color is powder coated. I do believe you can get this knife in, well, I know you can get it in black because that's what I've got, and I think you can get it in green. Okay? And up towards the hilt of the knife, the blade stamps, it's just embossing. It isn't really stamps. But on one side of the knife, it says Rat 7. On the other side, it says Ontario Knives, USA. Okay, and the handles, the scales are tan micarta. The handle thickness is 3/4 of an inch, 0.76 inches. That's 3/4 of an inch approximately. The weight of this knife is 12.5 ounces, and the sheath is ballistic black nylon Bali compatible. And it is made in the United States. And like I say, it's a Ontario Rat 7. Okay. Now that I got all that crap out of my way, let me just take this. I'm just gonna make sure this doggone camera's in focus because I get trouble with that sometimes. But let me take it out of this sheath, and so I'll show you this knife, what it looks like up close, and then I'll jump around and get in front of the camera. But there's that embossing. Made in the United States, Ontario Knives. I figure this is a pretty doggone good deal in a survival type, hunting type, bushcrafting type knife. There's that Rat 7 right there. That stands for Randall Adventure Training, by the way. And there's the micarta handles, and then I've just got a little lanyard on there with some Navy SEAL death head beads, okay? But this is what the piece looks like. Let me jump around and get in front of the camera here real quick like. Okay. Now. Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. I gotta focus this. Ooh, I'm glad I caught myself. I don't do that, and then I'm sitting here jabbering to this camera all out of focus. I hate that. Okay. One of the biggest gripes I've seen on the internet about this knife is this sheath. Ladies and gentlemen, in my humble opinion, there's nothing wrong with this sheath. Excuse me. It's a cheap nylon sheath, but it's good enough, in my humble opinion. There's a plastic or a nylon insert inside there. You're not just sliding the knife into this ballistic nylon. There's a plastic or a nylon pocket, if you will, if the knife, goes into, and it snaps down here and it snaps around the knife, right there. So it's MOLLE compatible, tactical compatible and all that stuff. It's definitely not the fanciest sheath, but for what I'm doing and everything, fine, okay, whatever. There's several places on the internet where you can get fancier sheaths. You can, if you don't like these scales, these handles, you can change them out and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Right now, on the open market, you can buy this knife between $60 and $70, which I figure is not that bad of a deal. I got this on Amazon for like $63 or something like that. You know, and it's a big knife, but it handles well. It's real balanced and everything, in my humble opinion, you know. And also, let me get this sheath out of my way. This micarta right here, I measured it, you know, from end of micarta to end of micarta, you're talking right around 5 inches. Now, this handle, it will fit most hands. You know, it might be a little big for people with real small hands, but I know doggone well that this knife will fit most, you know, most hands. It's got a pummel on the end of it right here, you know, like a glass breaker. Also a hole for a lanyard. As you can see, I've got, you know, my little setup there for what it's worth, you know. Micarta, like I say, you got some jimping right here, some extended jimping, which is pretty nice, if you got it, you know, for that traction, that speed bump effect kind of thing going on there. And there's a small choil area right here, which is pretty nice if you need to choke up on this knife. That's one thing I want to say. I was watching a YouTube video here. I don't even know what guy, what channel, whatever. But this idiot was saying, "Oh, I never trust anybody that takes a knife out of the box and doesn't take it out in the backyard and beat the hell out of it." I have said this once, and I'm going to say this again. A knife is not a hammer. A knife is... Look, if you need to chop something bad enough, get an axe. Get a machete. Get a hatchet or something like that. But for these idiots that love to... Now, I got nothing against bushcrafting, okay? I kind of understand bushcrafting in a way. I'm really not a true bushcraft or anything like that. But I see these guys all the time. They think that the way that you approve that you've got a good knife is if you take a round log, say 4 inches in diameter and a couple of feet long, set the knife on top, then take a 2x4 or another piece of wood and beat the hell out of the top of the knife to split that log. Nonsense. This is a tool for cutting, not chopping. Now, that's just me talking, okay? But the only reason why I'm doing this review right here, ladies and gentlemen, is because I've been searching around for a couple of years now for my needs. And my needs is a good survival knife. You know, for when I'm out in the sticks, out in the bushes and doing the things that I do. Well, for a $60 bill, this Ontario Rat 7 is pretty doggone hard to beat. You know, seriously. And if this blade is too big, they make a Rat 5 and they make a Rat 3. And also, while I'm thinking about it, no, I don't get endorsed. You know, I don't get paid for pumping up any of these reviews or any of these products or any of these knives, fishing poles, or any of this kind of stuff that I do. As a matter of fact, in all the 550 some videos I've done, I've had one person that owned a fly rod, a fly business, a fly rod company business. I demoed one of his fly rods. This is a fellow that owns risenfly.com, and he sent me a fly box, which I thought was awful nice of him. One time. I'm not into YouTube to make money and all that. This is just an opinion right here. And all I'm saying with this doggone knife right here simply is it's a good, well-built knife. Also, while I'm thinking about this, I took my diamond whetstones and I went across that edge right there. You can probably tell. I can always... The way I judge a knife, I don't take it out in the backyard and start beating the crap out of it. I get into my whetstones and I start stropping the knife. I start sharpening it, and I can feel if that steel is any good. If the steel is too soft, it isn't worth a you-know-what. Because it's going to get dull on you, blah, blah, blah. If it takes you forever and a day to sharpen a knife, the knife steel is way too hard in that particular. Because let me just tell you this old story real quick. Years and years ago, must have been about 35 years or so ago, maybe even longer than that. I remember I bought an XYZ knife. I shouldn't name the company, but I spent like, I don't know, 60 or 70, 80 bucks for that knife. And back in them days, money I was trying to raise a family, and every dime counted and all that. That was the worst knife I ever bought in my life. It took me 4 hours to put an edge on that stupid knife. Because what I love about this ridiculous cutlery market, especially when you read reviews, people say stuff like, oh, the knife came to be razor sharp. Look, I bought a lot of knives in my day, and I'll guarantee you very few of them have ever come razor sharp. But I got into this knife here with my whetstones, my diamond whetstones, and it took me 20 minutes to roll this edge over and get what I know is a very, very sharp edge. So that's really all I've got to say. This is a Rat 7 by Ontario. I wouldn't be a bit afraid to pick one of these up. And a spin-off of this Rat 7, it's a long-winded story. I don't want to get into it. But there's a company called SA, and they made a bunch of knives in cahoots with Ontario Knives under this, Randall Adventure Training. But the problem with SA knives, there's nothing wrong with them or anything like that, but they're about 30% more expensive than an Ontario Rat, okay? So there you are. All right, so do I think this knife is worth owning? I know it is. It's got good balance. The blade might be a little big for some of you, but, this micarta handle's all rounded off, and what do they call it? I love this terminology on the internet, hot spots. That means sore spots. Will this handle cause any, hot spots or sore spots? I don't think so. And so there you are. I gave you all the specs on this thing, and Ontario gets my vote for a knife company where you can get cutlery that's relatively good cutlery for without breaking the bank, so to speak. So there you are. That's really all I've got to say. If you've been thinking about buying one of these Ontario Rat 7s, I would not hesitate. By the way, today is October 29th of 2019. You can get one of these for right around 60, 70 bucks on Amazon. Okay? Thank you very much for watching this boring video. Take care of yourselves, and we shall see you on down the trail. Adios, my friends.